The Chiefs beat the Lions on Sunday night, improving to 3-3 with a few fisticuffs to end the game in that one. Welcome back to the BetCanada channel. Katie Caldwell and Jeff Lloyd back here with you. Jeff, this was as clean as we've seen Kansas City play in a long time. What clicked for them on Sunday night?
Well, if we remember, and anybody here, obviously, fans of the Bet Canada channel, obviously, we certainly all appreciate you. What I had talked about, and I had spoken the Monday night game, and even though Jacksonville had beat Kansas City, my kind of takeaway from that was, hey, I think Kansas City's getting where they need to be. We're
I
starting to
was worried
involve
about them.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yep. Look, Kelsey yesterday, production that is more similar to a Travis Kelsey stat line. Xavier Worthy missed a lot of time early in the season, but you still see and you're starting to understand just exactly the role Kansas City had planned for him.
Mm-hmm.
Fastest guy in the NFL. So you can worry about all of our weapons, and then you have to say to yourself, oh my God, how do we account for the guy who runs a 4.23 40? Juju Smith-Schuster, and we'll probably get to that. There's just no way you can take away everything from the Kansas City Chiefs offense. It is
Mm-hmm.
damn near impossible. And I think one of the biggest things that we see with Patrick Mahomes, and now as he matures and he's getting to, the mid part of his career is everybody always, oh, well, the Chiefs are done. I don't know if Mahomes has it. And the second those words start coming out about the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, all of a sudden the Chiefs just take off on a heater. And,
Yep.
and this is now, and even as I told you, the Chiefs get to go back to their next game. They now add Rice into the equation, just yet
Mm-hmm.
another offensive weapon for this team. I had mentioned the young kid Smith at SMU. They threw 3 passes to him yesterday, and a perfect guy for the Kansas City Chiefs. A guy who in college played 3 years as a 3 years as a wide receiver, 1 year as a running back. Well, if there's not a perfect description for a skill player to go play for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's a guy who has experience as a running back and as a wide receiver. Doesn't matter what he is. He doesn't need a position. We will certainly find a way to incorporate that into our offense. Um, I also think the thing for the Chiefs, though, was, and we've said this the last couple of weeks, is their defense every year. It's the Chiefs' defense, and they don't, and then it's still the same kind of cast of guys, but all of a sudden the 15 who play all of a sudden kind of get on the same level. They
Mm.
start covering each other's gaps. They pick up each other's mistakes. And it's a defense that necessarily didn't get any better, but collectively got better. And I think, Spagnuolo does a fantastic job with that. They
Yeah.
play 3 linebackers, and like they almost play 3 linebackers like 85%. 90% of the time, which just shows you like the old soul of a guy like Spagnuolo, where linebacker, it's almost starting to come back a little bit more. But
Mm.
2, 3 years ago, everybody was like, I don't care about linebackers. I want to get to my nickel defense. I want to get to my dime defense. I want to get my better pass rushers on the field. I have good defensive backs. Who has 4 good linebackers anyway? What does it matter? But here's the Chiefs trying to basically trot out 4 linebackers for a majority of the game, even to the point where, they're asking linebackers to cover slot receivers, and somehow it kind of works.
Mm-hmm.
So they just get really physical at the line of scrimmage and just kind of delay the pattern. So, as the Chiefs and Spagnuolo defensively, everybody zigs, he kind of zags. And, for a Chiefs team, and it wasn't like an overall dominant performance. And I will continue to say there's 2 things with Detroit. If you get them outside, the game doesn't translate the same on grass. And I will continue to say this. It's probably going to happen for Detroit, but they are not getting all they can out of Jahmyr Gibbs. And even yesterday, 1 reception, 0 yards to go with what he got on the ground. It's not that Gibbs is disappointing, but I believe the potential for Gibbs is to be a guy that gives you well over 2,000 combined yards, a guy that should
Right.
score over 20 touchdowns. So here is a guy who is so dynamic, such a game breaker. So his stats actually look pretty good. But for all the
Mm-hmm.
talent that he has, you understand that they're probably not getting everything out of him. But the Chiefs, they're kind of hitting it right at the right time, and it looked a little rough early in the year, but the Chargers with some injuries, saved themselves a big win yesterday. Denver had no business winning that game yesterday, but the Jets are There is no other bigger laughing stock in the NFL right now than the New York Jets. You
No.
cannot have an NFL game where you, as a team, throw for negative 11 yards. Negative 11 yards. You win the NFL 11 yards from your game yesterday. That's how bad it was. So Detroit, and even still, Garrett Wilson on the sidelines, it was a difficult catch, but for 100 million, make the catch, and you maybe walk out of the game with a victory yesterday, and you still would have thrown for -1 total
Mhm.
yardage, but you actually had a chance to win the game. But, the Chiefs, I think it's starting to trend back their way. Rasheed Rice comes back into the fold, and it comes to the point, and I was actually, talking with a couple of people, and they were like, the problem with the Chiefs is it feels like they have 7 to 8 skill players on the field at all times. Because that's just because every one of them is that good, is that capable of giving a 100-yard game at any given point, whether it's a Kelsey, whether it's a Worthy, whether
Mhm.
it's a Juju, certainly the running backs, certainly with Rasheed Rice coming back. You just have to defend everything, which there is just no way you can possibly do. So you end up either just getting eviscerated by the Kansas City Chiefs offense, or you end up basically playing cover four and you give up
Mm.
7, 8 play, 80-yard drives because you just want to keep everything in front of you and you pray to God you can tackle everybody.
Quick pause. If you haven't subscribed to the BetCanada YouTube channel, you can do so below. It's free and it helps support our channel so we can keep bringing you NFL and NHL content. Now, back to the show. Well, 28 or more points in 3 straight games. Like the team that went to the Super Bowl last year, that wasn't their story. They weren't putting up 28 points a game last season. What does a win like this at this point of the season do for the Chiefs? Because they do have the Raiders coming up, but then they have the Commanders and the Bills. So it is nice to get back to 500. But like we've said, like they look so much better than 500 when you watch the tape. But what does this do for their confidence at this moment? Especially after that
See, that's
Jacksonville
the
game too.
yeah. I see that's the thing. And like when they opened that broadcast last night, they basically said, look, being around the Chiefs facilities this week, you didn't know this was a team that was 2-3. You didn't know this
Mhm.
was a team that started 0-2. And yes, it's certainly off script from what is, normally it's just huge lead. December, we don't mind. We'll lose a game or two or whatever. We'll pick it right back up. Da 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 da. So this year, obviously, the course is a little bit different, from normal Chiefs seasons. But I just, believe with all the success they've had, and that's not just counting Super Bowl wins, add in 2 Super Bowl we did it 5 times. 5. So, nobody in Kansas City is quaking in their boots in September. Nobody is certainly
Yeah.
quaking in their boots in October. December and okay, well, we're only going to go in as a wild card. Okay, well, I still have Mahomes. We still have all these offensive weapons. We still have been here every single year, which means that we got the advantage over every single one of you guys that are invited to this party. I think the Chiefs just know exactly who they are. I think sometimes, maybe they get a little too cute and it's maybe, oh, well, we went for a fourth here and we should have just maybe taken the 3. But,
Mhm.
if you're Andy Reid, you got to keep pushing your guys. And, granted, it was Dan Campbell and not Andy Reid, but like teams get into these fourth down situations. And, Campbell spoke on it and he's like, well, all right, well, what play you want to go with? Okay, well, I'm confident in the quarterback making that throw. I'm highly confident in the guy who's going to get that throw.
Mhm.
Are the right guard and the right tackle going to make? Yeah, we're really. He's like, if it checks every box, we do it. And look, eventually, the defense is going to be a little bit better than what you anticipated. But when you have all that faith and you look at it from the Andy Reid perspective, I don't know if I'd ever punt. Why would I mean? I know I've sat here for years and watched what Patrick Mahomes can do. I know what all these weapons can do. So have the absolute most faith in all of your players. Well, we are better than everybody else. So that's just what you do. Oh, yeah, so somebody got lucky. All right, we had an off day. And Vegas is going to go play them next week. Well, all right, we had a win or whatever. And they're probably going to lose by 3 scores. And that's just the difference between being, the top dog and just kind of being the puppy in the yard. And Kansas City will just continue to do this. They know exactly what kind of talent to put around Patrick. And I think for a guy like Patrick, I don't think there's no end in sight. I
Mhm.
think Patrick Mahomes, he will do this till he's 40. I truly think because as the more of these numbers start to pick up, and it's going to be that, well, nobody can challenge those type of numbers. Oh, well, maybe Pat could. And I think for Pat, it's going to be, yeah, well, if I could leave here one, two, three in some of these overall quarterback record books, especially with a team and a system that make it so easy to happen. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going anywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if he was around another 8, 9 years because it's just got to be this much fun to be the guy for that team. And that team knows exactly how to fill the roster to get everything for Pat and those numbers to explode.